Hey, everybody, good afternoon, and welcome to another one of our virtual events. Today, we're going to be visiting with Avalon Waterways and with Eric Kelley. Eric is our business development manager with the Globus family of brands, and the Globus family includes Globus, Monograms, which is their individual travel, Cosmos, which is their budget product, and Avalon Waterways. So, Charlie, do you want to say something about Eric and then we can get started?
Better. Yeah. We've known Eric since literally we opened our doors in January of 1988. He probably, in fact, now that I think about it, he was the first supplier who paid a visit to us and brought
Second,
along his vice
I
president
think
of
Barbara
operations.
Popwell came in before me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, she had we had met her before. I think it was the first one that came to our offices
Oh,
after we
okay.
first opened an office. But the relationship has been good over the years as Eric has been promoted and moved to other suppliers. He hasn't been our BDM because he was located in Atlanta, and about 5 or 6 years ago, Fortune smiled on us, and even though he is still in Atlanta, he became our business development manager for the Globus family. And in typical fashion of every time we've worked with him before, our sales exploded because of the good support that he provides to us and the good products that he represents. Eric, I'll let you take it away and share with us what we think is probably the best vacation we've ever taken.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Sherrie and Charlie. As always, it's great to visit with you guys and to share some really exciting information with Avalon for 2021. This year has been a year to end all years. Hopefully, we won't have another year like this. But in saying that, there's a lot of good positive signs for travel for next year, a lot of pent up demand, and a lot of things that we're doing to introduce new product lines and also be very cognizant of safety and how we provide that for our customers. So let's go ahead and move forward. And as I do that, I will go ahead and I'm just going to stop my video there shortly, and we'll go from there. So we're going to talk about sweet, safe, and sound cruising. Obviously, that's on the top of people's mind. How will we be addressing river cruising and being safe at the same time? So over the last 10 years, river cruising has grown, making waves in the travel industry and improving that. When it comes to bodies of water, ships, and cities, bigger isn't always better. Avalon Waterways has led the way to our spacious, innovative, award-winning suite ships. Our travelers enjoy more intimate experience with an appealing crew to passenger ratio, personalized attention, seamless dock and go sightseeing at the most welcoming of ports. Combined with the highest health standards and environmentally conscious practices in the industry, Avalon Waterways River Cruise gives travelers peace of mind throughout their vacation, from embarkation to the last goodbye. In today's presentation, we're going to go over three primary areas: a quick review of all the Avalon value, how we differ from ocean cruising, and what we're going to be doing on board to ensure safety and an enjoyable experience for our clients. I think that gives you an idea of what our program will be about today. We're waking up to a new world, obviously, but with Avalon, your clients can embark on a number of different cruises around the globe. We have 80 cruises on 10 rivers in 20 countries: Europe, Asia, South America, and Egypt. They can discover so many of our great different destinations: North Sea to the Black Sea, English Channel to the Mediterranean Sea. You can discover the Rhine, the Danube, the Rhone, just to name a few that we have in Europe. We do South America itineraries on the Amazon, expedition cruises to the Galapagos. You can discover the ancient traditions of the Mekong in Southeast Asia, the sacred Ganges in India, or the mysterious Nile in Egypt. Cruise your way with countless combinations of land vacations before or after the cruise. So this gives you an idea of really the breadth of product that we have worldwide, not only in Europe, which we have over 100 different kinds of itineraries that we do with the combinations, but a lot of the exotics. And I think people are quite surprised when we tell them all the different locations that we do around the globe, not just Europe. It's all about your outlook. So, you know, what's really been set us apart in the industry have been our cabin designs, and we'll go talk a little bit more about that moving forward. But we really reinvented the river cruise ships. No other fleet in the industry offers the Avalon Suite ships. Now, we came out with a design where the beds face the view, the beds don't face a wall, and instead of building a balcony onto our cabins, we decided to make the cabins larger, build a whole wall of glass with sliding glass doors. Now the whole room becomes the balcony. So we have raised the bar on cabins in the industry. And while we have done that, it obviously is making people more interested in the river cruise experience, and obviously with Avalon, with our wonderful cabins that we have. The really exciting news is we're actually celebrating our 10th anniversary of our Panorama Suites. So this is what sets us apart from all the other guys. As you can see here, this is the bed angled towards the opening. Now, when you consider that the locks in Europe are 38 feet wide, the ships have to be 38 feet wide. So if you build a balcony onto a river cruise cabin, it takes away from your cabin size. So our idea was to make the cabins larger, have these 3 sliding glass doors, 1 and 2 slides behind the third one. You have over a 7-foot opening there to enjoy. We have this great little seating area by the window there. Wonderful to drink a bottle of wine or enjoy a light breakfast in your room if you'd like. Great space for luggage under the bed, and plenty of closet space. They're very ergonomic. You can see that they're really contemporary in design with really wonderful colors. And you can see the TV in the right-hand corner there. But this is what sets us apart from all of our competition. So we can tell you how great we are, but we really like the fact that Cruise Critic gives us or has given us quite a few compliments over the last few years. So in December of 2019, Cruise Critic, and again, Cruise Critic is voted on by people that take river cruises. It's not by publications that we advertise in. It's quite a valued critique to have Cruise Critic vote us best shore or best river cruise line shore excursions in Europe in December. Last September of 19, we got voted the best in European river cruising by Cruise Critic. And then on the far right there, you see we the best river cruise line cabins in river cruising. And the good thing about that, that's the 4th year in a row that we've won that award. So we're extremely proud of the accomplishments and the critiques by Cruise Critic. The art of making you feel at home. So at your service on the ship, at your service on shore. We just don't reserve the warm comfort of your room on an Avalon cruise. We share a welcoming spirit throughout the ship when you show up. From the captain to the cruise director, to your stateroom attendant, wait staff, we deliver exquisite service that's professional, courteous, and informative. Our approach is never stuffy, but creates an atmosphere of relaxed luxury, like our casual and comfortable dress code that's defined only by your individual preference. After all, your comfort is our top priority, both on and off the ship. Great local guides. One of the things that we're known for is our guides meet us at our ports. They don't follow the ship down on the itinerary. We use local guides and local destinations. We use local motor coaches in local destinations. I know some of our competitors have these wonderfully wrapped buses, but those buses follow the ship down along their entire cruise. We want to use local companies, support the local economies, gives us really some great relationships with those cities along the river, and that's very, very important, and we're real happy with that relationship. And just so that you know, we've the Globus family of brands, again, as Sherrie mentioned, Globus, Cosmos, Monograms, and Avalon. Just so you know, we've been around for 92 years. We're a Swiss company based in Lugano, Switzerland, and has given us great relationships with a lot of the land operators, hoteliers all over Europe for many, many decades. And that surely helps us out on our river cruise product. Size is seismic, and it matters. So a low passenger count, high crew attention, and higher guest satisfaction. So again, when you look at a river cruise, our highest capacity vessel is 168. Now, those are on the larger rivers of Europe, the Danube, the Rhine, etc. And our smaller vessels, 128, with an average of 155 on our vessels. Those ply the rivers of France. And so that gives you basically two different sizes. And that's really dictated by the size of the locks also. So when you're talking about more to-dos, not crowds and queues, this is really geared towards the difference between a ocean cruise and a river cruise. You know, with the big ocean liners, there's so much entertainment that's offered, a lot of the buffets and the shows. Well, river cruising is much different. It's destination focused, local guides with a travel experience. You connect with the world around them. Most river itineraries really sell off the beaten path. They visit small fairy tale villages, quaint village squares, family-owned wineries and bakeries and restaurants along the way. And there's not the queues that you would have on some of the mega ships. So it's really about smaller guests, and we really feel and see that there's an interest in river cruising for next year simply because of the number of clients that we have on board our vessels. So I think we're positioned quite nicely rolling into 2021. Having a fleet of 14 ships in Europe and multiple ships worldwide, we're very happy about that opportunity. So not sea, there's a big difference. So when you compare being on an ocean versus on a river, you don't get seasick, you don't get cabin fever. You know, you wind your way through these wonderful little countries, panoramic views of the old world. You're not in the middle of the ocean. Not that that's not a beautiful view, but when you're cruising the highways of Europe, you have a chance to see these cliff-top castles and the hillside vineyards, the ancient villages, all these wonderful cities, and the ability to dock in those downtown areas, walk around and really embrace that location is what river cruising is all about. And just so that we're talking about safety, you know, when you consider that we're only feet from the shoreline on either side of the vessel, gives us easy access to the ports of call, local hosts, great experiences, and health and medical professionals if needed. So if you're out in the middle of the ocean, you're relying on the ship staff there to help you out. On a river cruise, we'll get you somewhere and get you to a hospital very, very quickly because of the relationships we have with the cities and the ability to have doctors or hospitals close by to take care of any emergencies. So this is kind of a comparison between us and an ocean cruise. As you can see, 150 max passengers is an average for us versus 3,000. You can see how many, how much different that is with us. The deck space. So if you look at basically 750 passengers on a size of a football field versus 150 passengers. Crew to passenger ratio is terrific with river cruising, 1-3, 1-6 on the bigger ships. And you know, the ability to keep your ships clean and also the turnover. You got it's easier to get passengers on or off our vessels. You know, look at 1,500 staterooms versus the 83 staterooms. Easier to empty a ship smaller than it is the big, large vessels. So kind of just a comparison between us and the large ships. So ship shape, sweet ships, impeccably clean, 5-star service. It's a top priority for us right now moving forward into 2021 and making sure that we're doing all the right protocols to make to assure the customers they're going to be safe. A smaller number of passengers, a smaller number of crew, and we're going to be doing the excursions on shore with smaller groups. So again, we're really taking that into focus moving forward and doing everything we can to complement some of the protocols that are out there. So some of the few things that we're doing. What has touched your heart today? What has touched your hand? So there'll be sanitizing stations located throughout the ship, and they're going to have to clean their hands before they go in, just like our crew is. And I think people are very attuned to that. If anything's going to happen after this crazy years, I think it's going to be a cleaner world, I hope. I hope people pay attention to those things. I think social distancing will be maintained for a while, and masks and hand sanitizing stations, etc. And there is certainly going to be a protocol with the crew. They'll be tested before they start their contract. They'll have their temperature taken daily. So they're going to be making sure that we keep everybody safe, and of course wearing masks where they're required, and when they're in close contact with our customers, they'll be wearing the gloves and masks. Oh, sorry, let me go back one. So we're going to have a rigorous cleaning program, faithfully and proudly maintained with consistent process and quality control checks per ship. So the house cleaning staff is going to be cleaning from 6 to 10. But I wanted to let you know that we're going to be using one of these new electrostatic cleaning machines, and very innovative. And what that does is, if you typically go into a cabin and you clean that cabin with cleaning solutions, it's going to take an hour to an hour and a half for some of those vapors and odors to evaporate. With these electrostatic cleaners, you can go in, and I'll give you a good example. You go into a closet, and you instead of cleaning each individual coat hanger, you spray the electrostatic sprayer in there, and it coats everything, and that room is clean within 10 minutes with no odor. So the ability to clean rooms, public rooms, dining rooms, and the whole ship is done much quicker and can be done much more often. As you can see, there 2 times a day, the staterooms will be cleaned. Enhanced cleaning procedures, regular deep cleaning. And one thing about river cruises that I don't think a lot of people realize versus the big ships is I don't say mothball them, but I guess that's the term. We put them up over the winter when they're out of service, so that we can clean it from stem to stern. We really don't travel much after the Christmas markets in early December until about late March, when we start as early as tulip time up in Holland and out of Amsterdam. So we have about 3.5, 4 months to where we really deep clean those ships already. And we've been doing that for a number of years, and we will continue to do that with even more emphasis on that. So when the ships typically roll out, they're very clean at the beginning of the season, whereas the big ship cruises, they need to take those ships completely out of service to be able to completely update them, clean them, refit them, etc. We don't do that because we have about 3 months, 4 months every single year. So I think that's something that a lot of folks aren't aware of. Food supply, storage, and preparation standards. This will give you an idea of some of the 6 steps that we do. Good reception, make sure that we keep everything clean and safe from taking it out of the trucks. And the one thing I saw, I was really amazed with just talking about food. They were loading food stores on one of the ships that I was on last year. And the first guy behind that truck was the captain. He was right involved, captain and the co-captain and the cruise director. Every single person was pulling all the food and storage off of that vessel, and it was one big line. I was amazed to watch it because they had everybody, all hands on deck, loading. And when you have everybody involved, it's amazing how quickly things get done. So I was real pleased. You know, the idea is you lead from the top, and our captain on that vessel was doing so, you know, lifting boxes just like everybody else. So again, receiving those food stores, the storage, making sure there's no cross-contamination, food temperature and preparation, very, very important. Cooking, obviously maintaining the highest hygiene standards that we can do, and cleaning all the equipment and services and et cetera. So you can see there are a lot of protocols that have been in place, and others that are being added to make sure that everything's even safer moving forward. Some of the our Avalon Assurance are enhanced onboard procedures and protocols. So welcome aboard, making sure everybody's safe, social distancing as people embark, mandatory health screening, touch-free temperature check. They have these new machines. It's not going to be the laser to the forehead. There are these body scans they use like at the airport. And they're adding those to our ship. And it's just like standing in front of a fogged glass door, and it's able to read your temperature very quickly. I think they've spent a fair amount of money to make sure these machines are the top of their line, so that people feel safe coming in, and they can really detect anything quite quickly. Luggage disinfection prior to onboarding with the crew wearing gloves and masks. Fresh air in and out, or inside and out. What I like about this is I think a lot of people aren't aware that that we do not recirculate air on board river cruise vessels. I think that is a big success for us. Each room has its own filtration system. It's not recirculated throughout the ship. And like these folks are doing, they're just opening the big window and getting some fresh air right in the big sliding glass door. So I think that is a real advantage to our vessels with the no recirculation of air, and that's pretty standard with river cruising, and not so much the same with some of the other products out there. Blending cultural proximity and social distance. So this is ongoing, and we're going to continue to tweak this program. But some of the new guidelines that we're implementing, we'll be reducing ship capacity as required for more space on board and per guest. Right now, we feel that if a ship is absolutely full, then we can spread people out on different venues. We may have to limit it to, again, 166 is our largest ship, and we may not be able to be completely full, but we figure that we can be fairly close to that, provide different dining venues in addition to the main dining room. We have an aft lounge that we utilize, would be perfect for that. Also, we do bistros up in the front of the main lounge. So we will be able to spread the customers around, so there's the proper social distance required. The crew will be wearing masks for the duration of the cruise with any contact with our guests, providing masks for guests to wear during an event where social proximity may be a concern. That will also go with some of the touring off the vessels, as I mentioned before, smaller groups, more tour guides, more motor coaches, etc. We'll be adjusting the ratio of guides, coaches for excursions as required. So I think that answers a lot of some of the things that we're doing in relation to COVID and safety. Touching hearts, not hands. That sounds great for travel right now. I know I want to travel. I can't wait to go anywhere. Can't wait to go in my backyard right now. But what we're doing here is we're reducing the risk with hands-free service, including lots of the sanitation stations, as I mentioned before. Required use of hand sanitizers when leaving the ship, returning to the ship, entering dining views, as well as entering each public or common space. So we're going to be on top of that. And I think the customers will appreciate that. They'll want to make sure that they're practicing health and safety rules just so they can continue to travel. If they're taking a trip to Europe, hop on a river cruise, they want to be safe. I think most of our customers will be doing that moving forward. We will also have more self-serve stations. I'm not so sure how I feel about all this, but it's going to be required moving forward. That includes buffets and drinks, specialty coffees and snacks. That's going to all be replaced by cruise service. So this wonderful coffee machine we have in the forward lounge and the aft lounge that you can go visit to 24/7, have that cappuccino anytime you want, it'll now be served by a crewman. That poor crewman's going to have to be standing there all day long, but well worth that cup of cappuccino. But that's one of the things we do to make sure that we're following safety protocols. All the buffets, breakfast and lunch, they'll be replaced by a full range of a la carte menu choices. Which, you know, I still like that. I like buffets. I like the ability to go up and kind of pick and choose what you want. But certainly with the new protocols, we'll be having people order off the menus. Hourly, more disinfection of all the public areas. So again, that's how touching hearts and not hands relates to that. Commitment to the cleanest ships. Got to have that. So enhanced cleaning procedures throughout each ship, going above and beyond the strict protocols that have already been set in place. Deep disinfection of each. We're not going to infect any rooms, just want to let you know that. Deep disinfection of each stateroom between cruises include disinfectant and cleaning materials that meet the highest standards, including the electrostatic cleaners. All soft goods in staterooms, mattresses, sofas, window coverings, chairs, all will be disinfected between cruises. All dining areas between meals. All shared items like umbrellas, bicycles, or things from the Adventure Center like yoga mats. Disinfection of all goods prior to loading the ship, and continued crew training to make sure that they are maintaining the protocols also. So focus on health. That's really geared more towards our crew. A medical certificate required prior to them starting their contract. Daily temperature checks, social distancing in the crew and crew's living quarters, and then regular health screenings. So that's what we're doing just for the crew. Very important. So let's get some fun stuff. So these are some of the itineraries that we're going to have for 21. A Taste of Egypt's back. We're excited. We've been out of Egypt for a while. The Balkan Discovery, Magnificent Rivers of Europe, Springtime in Holland and Belgium. A new addition to our active and discovery profile or portfolio. That's the active discovery in Holland and America. Right now we do the Rhine, the Rhone, and the Danube, and those are wonderful because they offer a lot more optional excursions on those, from a classic, which every cruise line does, including us, to the active and discovery. And active can be hiking, biking, canoeing, nights tournaments, etc. Discovery can be going to see a violin maker in Vienna, a cooking class, a wine tasting. So if you're interested in being more engaged in a river cruise experience, some of our active and discovery cruises are something you certainly want to check into, and Just Cruise can certainly accommodate you on some of those wonderful itineraries. The Danube from Croatia to the Black Sea, and the Danube from Germany to the Black Sea. So those are just new for next year. Some of the combinations that we do. So I think this was a natural transition for us because of our relationship with all four of our brands. Why not make some different combinations? And it's been very successful with us. So you have two escorted companies, an independent company, and a river cruise company. Why not utilize the services of both and do a combination? So these are some of the combinations. How great is that? That's at Plitvice National Park in Croatia. A lot of pictures. Anytime you see pictures of Croatia, you have this wonderful national park where the water streams out of the moss. It's just really an amazing looking place. But this gives you an idea of the cruise here that you take. It's a 6-day cruise from Bucharest all the way down to let's just say Belgrade, since I could probably pronounce that one. Then you go down from Zagreb, Split, down to Dubrovnik. So kind of a land and river cruise experience. Here's the highlights of Croatia with the Danube from Croatia to the Black Sea, as you can see here. Also from Bucharest all the way down, and then you hop over into Croatia and down to Dubrovnik. So a really interesting itinerary, the way we combine those brands. Sorry about that. Our Mekong cruise is now open. We added a new one, the Heart of Cambodia and Vietnam. That ship is exceptional. It got a 5-star rating from Cruise Critic, and it only holds 36 passengers. The smallest cabin on that vessel is 245 square feet. Again, only 36 passengers. So if you're interested in a real exotic adventure, try one of our Cambodia and Vietnam itineraries. Really, really tremendous. Some new itineraries. These are the short and sweet. That was in our title of our presentation today. But when we first rolled out these programs, I wasn't sure what the success of that they would be. I mean, who would want to go to Europe for just a 5-day river cruise? Well, I come to find out that a lot of people, one, may not sure if they're going to like a river cruise. Two, they don't have a lot of time. Maybe they're still working in the marketplace and they want the ability to get a little taste of it, or if they want to combine it with a cruise and land portion. So we've had customers go from a Globus escorted tour to an Avalon River cruise to a Monograms independent package, just so that we can combine all of our brands. And these, again, are some of the new ones we have. A 5-day Amsterdam to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to Nuremberg, 6-day, Danube Symphony, Deggendorf to Budapest, the Taste of the Danube, a little short one there, a 4-nighter. But either one of those cities, Budapest or Vienna, gosh, you could add a couple of days on either one of that and make that a spectacular vacation. A nice new Christmas cruise that we're doing, the Christmas time in the Alsace in Germany, Basel to Frankfurt. Wonderful experience to do a river cruise during the Christmas market, and then add that on to either one of those cities, maybe go up to Munich from Frankfurt, or go up to Lucerne out of Basel. And then another one that we're doing, Frankfurt to Nuremberg, another Christmas market cruise that we're doing. So really some great itineraries we're adding to the mix. And again, that's short and sweet. So the right kind of footprints, we're trying to be more and more green as a company. Well, you know, it's like they say, leave footprints on a beach. So take memories, leave only footprints. Avalon strives to protect and preserve each extraordinary destination for its people and wildlife and future travelers by finding meaningful ways to reduce our environmental footprint. So we've reduced our paper waste by 80%. And one of the things that we'll be doing kind of in relation to protocol, we have an Avalon Go app. So everything you'd want to know prior to leaving on your trip on Avalon, location of the ship, flight schedule, a daily itinerary, you can now get the menu for that dinner that night. Instead of the daily activities being delivered under your door, you can have that on your Avalon Go app or on the TV in your room. We've eliminated the single-serving plastic bottles, which I think is a great thing to go. We have these refillable water stations, which will now be manned by a crew member instead of being self-serve as part of the safety protocol. But again, we're a very green company. We try to work and contribute to worthy causes around the globe. The big garbage patch in the Pacific, we're a key partner in helping clean that up. We also support the firefighters in the national parks. Those are just a couple of the organizations we belong to. Make-A-Wish is a big one for us also. So just to let you know, we are cognizant of trying to be a good company. We've been around for 92 years. I hope we'll be around for another 92. Smooth sailing with serious savings. Now let's get down to brass tacks. Let's look at some of the great deals we have for next year. So this is the promo we have out there, and I don't think we've ever had a promo that's this terrific. So with these wonderful cabins that everybody wants to get into, we have 10 cabins on the main deck. They're 172 square feet. They have a big square porthole. That's kind of the minimum cabin we have on the vessel. And again, we only have 10 of those on the vessel. But right now, you pay that, you can get an upgrade to those wonderful open air balcony cabins at no additional charge. So you see that Panorama Suite, A's, B's, and P's, they're exactly the same. They're all 200 square feet. And that upgrade, which can be I think it's about up to $1,400 per person savings. That is a fantastic deal. it is available with you see WBC and Peace of Mind credits. Those are geared towards people that have been with us before or people that may have actually booked this year and planning on booking again. So lots of good things. Reach out to Just Cruisin Plus, and they'll be sure and take care of that. That promotion has been extended till September 14th. It was set to expire June 27th, so there's still a nice window to take advantage of that. And if you've ever been interested in taking advantage of a river cruise or a river cruise with the best cabins, now's the time to do that. So be sure and call Just Cruisin for that. So this gives you an idea of the savings on that. So 4 nights or less, up to $1,500 per couple, depending on the category. So you're basically going from a D&E up to the balcony suites. You see 28 per couple, up to 5,600 per couple there on 12 nights or more. So remarkable discounts available next year. So that being said, there you go. That covers all of the information I had to share with you guys. Sherrie and Charlie, do we want to open up for any questions?
Sure. If any of you all have any questions, if you want to type them in the chat screen, that way we can answer any of your questions for you. One of the things that I did want to mention is we have sailed Avalon numerous times. We've done Paris to Normandy a couple of times. We've done Burgundy and Provence a couple of times. We've done the Danube at least 3 times with Avalon. We've done the Rhine River twice. We just did the Rhine on the Christmas markets last December, which was an incredible trip. And the one thing that I absolutely love that you all have, when you mentioned the Avalon Go app, I forgot about it because that is something that we definitely use. You can use it to find your way around wherever you are. It's got almost like a GPS in it. It'll show you restaurants in the city that you're in, or shopping, or any numbers of things that you need to know. And it's amazing. This app is absolutely amazing. It gives you the countdown until you're going to leave, and then your daily itinerary. It's a wonderful app to have on your phone and be able to use. We've got a question right now about what the average age, it says, what is the average age group of cruisers? I think she meant what's the average age of cruisers. So Eric?
Well, it varies. It's going to vary between our regular itineraries and, of course, the active and discovery cruises, too. But our average age is 58 on all of our cruises. On the active and discovery, it's probably down to about 52, I think, right in that range. It's always, if anything, it's fluctuating, but it's always fluctuating down. So I think for the people said, oh, it's for a bunch of old people that want to sit on the top deck and watch the world go by. Well, it's certainly available for that. But it's a very young contemporary clientele that goes on. I mean, if you want to, again, sit on the top deck, fine, but there are lots of activities to do. You're up and going in the first city the first morning, and then you'll come back on the vessel for lunch, be cruising to a next city. It's an active vacation. You see a lot, you do a lot, but it's not an older clientele that I think is a misperception in the industry.
Eric, the bike program's been rolled out to all the ships yet?
They have. So we have 16 bicycles on all the vessels. First come, first serve, and they'll be sanitized just like everything else on board. And in some locations, we have escorted bike trips that people can take advantage of, especially on the active and discovery.
I was asking because I think it was maybe in the Danube, I forget, but on one of the cruises there was a number of couples that rode bicycles along paths that parallel the river. And to give you an idea of the leisurely pace at which the ship moves down the river, the people riding the bicycles arrived at the next port of call for the ship before the ship got there. So in terms of going up a lazy river in the noonday sun, this is it. I can't even, I don't have a command of the language to describe how relaxing and pleasant it is to sit on that top deck with a cup of coffee. By the way, the thing that I love, there are 2 coffee makers on this ship, on each ship, one in the stern and one then at the lounge. that allow you to make a number of different kinds of coffees, standard coffees and espressos and lattes and whatever. But they also have an assortment of cookies and snacks and donuts and that sort of thing. And it's just delightful to get a latte and go up on the deck with a plate of cookies or whatever and just watch the world go by.
Oh, and as nice as those cabins are with those beautiful panorama views out those cabins, if the weather's nice, get up on the top deck, be able to see the views from both sides of the river. That's where you want to be. And we do the port talks up there if the weather's permitting. We'll have the open air bistro up there that'll now be served by menu, but steaks and chickens and brats, and we serve a complimentary beer and wine at lunch and dinner, champagne at breakfast. And have a beer and a nice Hungarian goulash coming out of Budapest on the river. My gosh, that's a good way to start a day right there.
We've got another question for you. Can you briefly elaborate on the Egyptian cruise?
Yes. Well, we had been gone for a while in the Egypt market, and we're really glad to be back at that. So there's a lot of different additional add-ons that you can do with that. Obviously get a chance to get down to the pyramids and all the great sites, but it has the opportunity where you can get down and do some more exploring with some extensions on that program.
So you could stay in Alexandria or in Cairo and have some other alternative things with.
Yeah, you can come in early, you can stay late, you can get down to Abu Simbel if you want to do that. Just some a great addition. A lot of people, Egypt's on their bucket list, and we're certainly glad to have that back in our portfolio. It's on my list too, that's for sure.
It's definitely on our list, and it's one that we want to do for sure. Does anybody else have any questions for us?
I do want to expand on something that Eric alluded to. There are, just as there are different brands of automobiles, and a Kia is not a Mercedes, so too are there different brands and levels of inclusion and just luxury feeling in the river cruise industry. We like Avalon because the cuisine is of the area. It's not at all uncommon to see the chef in the local markets when you're in port buying produce that will be served in a regional dish that night. Another thing that we especially like is that, unlike some other river cruise companies that also include beer and wine with lunch and dinner, they include a generic red and a generic white with no distinction as to grape or whatever. The Avalon offerings include wines from the area, so that the wine pairings with the dishes that are prepared in the area make it far more enjoyable. And to put a finer point on something that Eric mentioned about the width of the ships, not only are all the ships that sail on the Rhine, for example, the same width, they're all the same length. They can't be more than 430 feet long. It's controlled by the length of the locks. And companies can advertise their cruise ships as the long ships, the great ships, but the reality is the box is the same size, and you don't have to be an engineer to figure out if I stuff 196 people in that box or 140 people in that box, one of them is going to be less crowded. And indeed, the stateroom, the standard stateroom size with the sliding glass doors that you see there at 200, 205 square feet, in some cases is 50% bigger than other cruise lines that may advertise themselves as great ships. The biggest advantage to having a smaller passenger count on the ship, though, is at dinner. And again, the dining room fits into that box with everything else. And if I have to put 196 happily talking, excited people in a room, it's going to be louder and more difficult to carry on an easy conversation than if you have fewer people in it. So when Eric talks about sweet ships, it really doesn't give a full explanation and an appreciation of what the difference in those products are, the differentials that exist between the cruise lines is something that all of the staff at Just Cruisin Plus are quite versed in. We'd be happy to explain them to you and help you understand why Avalon is probably going to be the best choice for you no matter which river cruise you take. Another common question we get is, which is your favorite river cruise? And that's like saying which of your three children is your favorite. Each of the rivers is unique. They all have things that we remember and that were exciting. Sherrie mentioned that we did a Christmas cruise on the Rhine back in November, and I have to tell you that it was everything that I expected and more. I'm sure all of the people that are here today over the years have had their anticipation of something build up and build up and build up, the greatest movie there ever was, or it gets 5 stars and huge accolades, and you go to see it and you come out shaking your head thinking, is that all it is? The Christmas cruise that we were on could not have exceeded what I expected any more than it did. It was everything I expected and more. I had built up my expectations and it just blew them out of the water. It was so fun. The Europeans so thoroughly enjoy this holiday season, and it's just a thoroughly gay, enjoyable, frivolous time to be there, to the point that we're probably going to do another one, except we're going to do the Danube for Christmas cruise this time.
We've got one more question, Eric. Can you dine with others without a mask?
Right now, we are not anticipating requiring masks at dining other than by the servers. The one thing good about Avalon that in regards to that question, we have a lot of two tops. And when we start moving two tops in general, I think people like it outside of the COVID issue. When they get on board, they'd like a couple of nights maybe to have that nice, quiet, romantic dinner with their traveling companion or whatever before they start intermingling. If you have a ship that has 4 tops or 6, immediately you're stuck in with other folks that first night. It's nice to have a 2-top and be able to ease on in and then start meeting people, and then, which is great about river cruising, and then be able to share your daily stories with new folks. But that will also expand with the social distancing based on the number of passengers on board of the other dining venues that will open up. So, I guess the question was, they would be required to sit with someone that doesn't wear a mask? My answer, I would say, would be no, because you can certainly move to a location where somebody's wearing the mask or doesn't wear the mask from there. But obviously, you can't. You need to pull your mask down a little bit to eat. But service and everybody on board will be wearing them. But that's kind of how our plan is on that. Obviously, learning. There is one company or a couple companies in Europe that are now cruising, working through protocols, finding out what's working, and being able to learn from those guys how we can implement maybe new protocols or fine tune the ones we plan on using. So
Eric touched on something that I was going to mention as part of what this train of thought was going into. Right now, the situation is such that U.S. citizens, or people that are in the United States right now, rather, are not allowed to travel to Europe anyway, with the exception of Croatia. So, unfortunately, right now, it's a moot point about whether masks would be required or not. I reasonably expect that we will see a thoroughly vetted, worked out in detail protocol of how things are done and handled, and we have to see a tremendous reduction in the number of cases diagnosed in the United States. We have to see the frequency, the incidence of COVID-19 infections in the U.S. plummet. And unless and until they do, we're not going to see any company, any country in Europe that's going to let us come over there. Eric touched on something that I've had debated about mentioning, but we're watching what a couple of other river cruise companies are doing with their European guests and letting them keep the Europeans as guinea pigs to find out what works. Because we want to be sure when we go back to Europe for a river cruise that we put you on something that's going to be safe. And we want you, our clients, to understand that you can depend on us to have your best interests at heart before we'll even talk to you about taking a river cruise.
Well, guys, this has been a great afternoon, and I really appreciate, Eric, you taking your time to come on and to talk to us about how wonderful one of our favorite river cruises is. We absolutely love Avalon. The staff has always been phenomenal, and I'm looking forward now to venturing out, and the Balkan caught my eye a while ago because we haven't done that, and Egypt, especially those two. And I think we forgot to mention that you guys even go to the Galapagos.
We do the Upper Amazon and Ecuador. We do the Galapagos.
Yeah.
We do Vietnam and Egypt and the Ganges in India. So we have quite an exotic portfolio. Obviously, our majority of our concern is in Europe, but we have lots of different places for people to go. If they don't want to do a river cruise, we can get them on a land destination.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate all of the people who were here today on the webinar with us, and we are recording this. I will have it up probably by tomorrow. And in the meantime, if you need to reach us, you can always call our office at 615-833-0922. That's 615-833-0922. Any of our agents or Charlie or I, either one, would be happy to help you plan anything with Avalon or any of the Globus family that you're interested in.
Thanks so much for being
Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Sherry,
And
Charlie.
we'll
See y'all.
see you.
Yep,
Thank
bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.